Jeff Segal, NSCA-CPT, CSCS, CPTS. Those are his credentials. What they mean, I have no idea. But he's the recipient of the 2007 National Strength and Conditioning Association Personal Trainer of the Year Award. He's authored articles for numerous MS publications, in addition to others such as Shape Magazine. He's the owner of Balanced Personal Training since 2004. He's a national motivational educational speaker. All right. He's a person living with multiple sclerosis since 1998. And Jeff is going to invite a few of you up here. He's very interactive. Let's get started.
How's everybody doing? Awesome. No. How's everybody doing? All right. Okay, so let's just assume that if we all had candles in here and there was no lights, and that was the norm, would you guys be okay with it? Of course you would, right? Because you wouldn't know what lights were. And then all of a sudden, if they had put lights on, it'd be like, whoa. So that's what treating MS to me is like, because when I was diagnosed, it wasn't that long before there was there was only 3 meds available, and before that, it's been about 5 years, there was nothing. So before that, people lived without medicine. And all they could do was, stuff that was proactive for themselves. They couldn't take a med and rely just on that. They had to be active. That's where I come in, because then comes exercise. How many people in here exercise or have at some point in their life? Everybody in here, that's great. Because if you didn't raise your hand, I'd call you out. You guys familiar with the spoon theory? So I'm going to have everybody come up here, and if you need an extra spoon, I got one with me. I stole it from the table over there. Person in the back gave it to me, so if I'm going to get in trouble, it's their fault. I need to move this off of here because I need some... Where's Bill? All right, welcome. All right, so I'm from Florida, and this whole thing about vitamin D, it's real because the numbers show that people who don't take vitamin D or who have MS have a lower vitamin D. And I don't know why. How many people in here have MS? Okay? I'm one of them. I could give us something what it takes to get it or doesn't have it, because I'm not getting rid of it. All right? How many people in here are waiting for a cure? I'm waiting for a cure for the common cold too. I'm waiting for a cure for a disease. How many diseases have cures? Honestly. Someone say it. Come on.
Polio.
Polio. Okay, say another one. That's the most commonly said one because it's the only one I know. So, okay, so let's move on. Let's learn to live with MS. That's what this is all about. We live with MS. There's a phenomenal physician here that's helping people live with MS. And there's a bunch of support here that helps you live with MS. Support is so important for anyone who lives with MS or anything. Even if you don't have MS, your support's very important. Because if you had a shoe that had the best support on earth and it was in the closet, what would it do for you? Nothing. Look good, right? That's if the shoe looked good. Find a shoe that looks good and has support. Very hard to find. But as children, how many people in here went outside and played? Activity, running around, right? Parents couldn't get you inside the house. I'm a parent. I've got the same problem. How many of you were so tired that you just couldn't keep up with everybody else? I dare you to raise your hand. Oh, come on. Were you one of those? Oh, you weren't in my neighborhood. Because we'd say, come on, you can play anyways, and then you get back right in it. But the point is, once you have a diagnosis of something like MS, it's too late to go back and change things. But we're all in the same boat. We've all raised our hand when I said, how many of you guys played as a child? Playing is the same thing as exercise. It's just got a different name. Exercise is scary, right? If you're told to exercise, you're going to say, oh, you can come up with a million things to do other than exercise. All right, exercise to take vitamin D, and take your DMT, and do this, and do that, and do the other thing. Forget it, just live. How many people just want to live and say, screw MS? Right? How many people have seen that? Oh wait, let me say, hashtag screw MS, right? That's what goes on in our daily life now. We're social media people. I'm so bad with it. I try to keep up. Not so great, but do the best I can. That's what you guys have to do, is the best you possibly can at all times. Because if you do, you can't say, gosh, if I just tried harder, because you can't try harder than your best. And I can prove it. So I'm going to ask you guys to volunteer. I want everyone to volunteer if you can. And all that I ask is that you give 100%. Deal? All right. Everybody raise your hand as high as you could possibly raise it. Okay, now raise your hand this much higher. How many people raised their hand that much higher? Keep it up if you did. You guys are all failures. Because I said to give 100% and to raise your hand as high as you could possibly raise it, and then I said to raise it this much higher. Is it this much more than 100%? Is there more than 100%? There's not more than 100%. You can't give more than 100%. And if I were to give you $10,000 to raise your hand 2 feet higher than that, what would you do? Someone say it. Stand up, right? Why didn't you stand up the first time? That was still within 100% because you didn't have an incentive. And if you had an incentive, you'd be like, whoa, wow, there's incentive, there's money involved. That's why people go to work, so they can buy food and be overweight, right? This is America. The easiest food to get is fast food, right? It's the tastiest food. It's got so much fat, sugar, and salt. It makes everybody happy until they have to take that deep breath and lean back. That's why people say you are what you eat. If you got a bunch of garbage on your plate and you keep eating that, you're going to feel like that. That's life for you. If you stayed outside and played as a child and kept that going on into your 30s, like me, right? I'm not in my 30s, but I feel like I am. Then you'd be more physically fit. But instead, you end up sitting behind a desk, and then what happens when you sit behind a desk? You get work done, you get paid, but you get tight hip flexors, whether you have MS or not. So if you're sitting like this all day long, and this is short, and then you go home and you sit down, and then whatever else you're doing is in a seated position, these things get short, hip flexors. In Florida, we call that the shuffle walk, you know? You don't want to be behind the person that walks like this, right? That's because their hip flexors are tight. Because the back leg can't get this range of motion. So when they're all the way back like this and you're walking, they can't do that. There's not enough room. Their hip flexors are tight and short. So people start walking like this. It has nothing to do with MS. I mean, it could, but it's better to nip it in the butt before it happens, right? Vitamin D. I'm from Miami. We got plenty of vitamin D there. Trust me. I was out in the sun my whole life. I'm the exception to the rule, right? My vitamin D levels, they're fine. I still take vitamin D because my doctor's like, I want you to have the best vitamin D in the world. I want it to be like 400. I'm just kidding. Mine's at 73. But I do take vitamin D. I'm not going to tell you how much because how much I take is for me. It's not for you. It's mine. I own it. That's how it is with everybody. So no matter what medicine you take, if you look at the person next to you and they're taking something different and they're doing better than you, it doesn't mean that's going to work for you. That's between you and your neurologist. What I'm here to do is I'm here to tell you what you can and what your abilities are with MS because we got it. Right? I plan on living with MS for a long time. And if there's a cure, great. If not, fine. I can deal with it. I've been down, I've been out, I've been blind, I've been unable to walk, I've been unable to get up off the floor. And believe me, every day I was on the floor when I couldn't walk. And I couldn't see. If you wanted to talk to me, I talked like I had a mouthful of marbles. Any of you guys know that feeling? I hope not, but you probably do. The vitamin D part, you know what vitamin D is? It's a hormone. You're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff come out in the future about vitamin D. You know what a hormone is by definition? It's something your body produces to work in another system. Vitamin D can also be made synthetically. That's something else that a hormone is. Think of any hormone. So vitamin D, you can take vitamin D3 intravenously or orally, and it's going to help with whatever we're lacking, right? We just know that we're low in vitamin D with autoimmune illnesses. So I want to show you some things that you can do. One thing I didn't do today that I always do is jump onto the stage. I always try to jump on. This is a low stage, so it's not really fun. But the best thing about what I just did is called a box jump. If you jump onto something, there's no impact. Especially if you jump to the very height of what you can jump. Watch this. If I were to jump here, what's more impact on my legs? This or this? I landed up here on the very height of my jump, so there's not a lot of impact. It's not going to take a lot of pressure and stuff on your hips. So if you can jump onto something. Don't jump down from something because there's more impact, more More issues that can come from that. I need a volunteer like really bad and right now. You over here. I was going to say Michelle or Jennifer or Mike in the back, John, Bill. Got to come around this way. And you have to say it's okay to be video recorded if you're okay with it.
Video recording.
All right. Let's see. We're going to try to kick this all the way over the camera and out the. No, I'm just kidding. Have a seat here. Just have a seat. Okay. Not so bad, right? Did you think it was going to be more difficult? Or you've done this before, haven't you?
5 seconds.
I knew it. That's why I picked you.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. You raised your hand. Okay. Do you have MS?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I've been told that.
Who told you? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so what I want you to do is put your hands out to the side. Pick your left leg up off the ground. Now whistle. No, I'm just kidding. Don't whistle. Just skip it. Keep it off the ground. Okay, now pick the other one off the ground. No, not at the same time. God, if you did that, you know, I'd say you definitely don't have MS. I've been trying to do that for years. Okay, I got you. You have more problems on your left side than your right side?
I do.
Okay. So that's what I would do in an assessment if I was working with somebody. Can any of you guys notice what happened? Some weird stuff just happened up here. Just between her and I, though. No, so if you were to sit on something like this and you lift up one leg, if you were fine on that leg and you picked up the other leg and you're all over the place, of course, this is the leg that's the problem because it's what's supporting you. To me, it's an easy thing to check out. You know, someone sit on a ball, they do it. I might not have even told you. I've just been like, start working on this side and that side. If you have a bad left side, what's more important to work on, your left side or your right side? Everyone's afraid to answer, right?
Bad side.
The bad side's not the one you want to work on because it's bad. The good side you want to work on so it's not bad, right? This is just being logical. If you have a good right arm and a bad left arm, the right arm is your anchor. The right arm can help lift your left arm, maybe even rehabilitate your left arm. But if your right arm stops working, then what? Then you are in trouble, right? So is there anything that you want to increase in strength or anything that you're lacking or something that you think, or you want me to just tell you? I'm just kidding. No, I don't want to do that. I'm just kidding. And the spoon's over there. I was going to give you an extra spoon to stay up longer, but no. Do you exercise a lot?
I walk.
You walk? That's to get from A to B. What else do you do?
Walk.
Like in circles?
No, like all over. And I walk
Okay.
on the treadmill and I go up.
Okay, that's good. You walk. Oh, you said the treadmill word.
Yes.
All right. And you go uphill and downhill?
Yeah, on the treadmill.
If you have anybody in here with drop foot? Okay, I'm in the right room. If you wanted to get some exercise on a treadmill, try to find one with a decline. Because if you go on a decline, how much would you have to lift your foot? Not so much, right? I'm only staring at the people that raise their hand. The rest of you are on your own. So, you don't have drop foot?
No.
Okay, didn't think so. You hide it well.
Thank you.
Do you guys hear me? All right. So, one thing that's important with MS is core. If you don't have MS, you know what else is important? Core. Put your hand out like this. Okay. Take that hand up, put it in the air. Push. Can you feel your core?
Yep.
Now do it this side. So something as simple as that. Now you don't have to have a person doing that, but working your core, that's absent movement. You didn't even move and you're working your core, right? So anybody in here wonder how to work your core before I started saying that? You can feel stupid, it's okay. You don't have to move to work your core. If you did another way, it would just be to lean up against something with your body straight, or the other arm, or doing back and forth, or just turning your head and looking and nodding, right? So the other thing would be pulling. So let me see your arm, pull. So now you're working the opposite side. Now this side, I know this is weaker. Oh, whoa, this stronger. It got stronger since I got up here. You're better, you're cured. Yeah, everybody clap. All right. Okay, well thank you. I just wanted to get somebody up here to sit on the ball, but thank you very much for coming up here. Pretty easy, right? Wait till the next person comes up. All right, I need another volunteer. Cameraman doesn't count. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Who else is going to volunteer? You? All right, come on up. And you're one of the ones that raised their hand about one of the questions that I had, right? All right, we'll talk about that over here. What did you raise your hand about? Not anymore though, right? All right, so forget it. That's part of the past. I used to be this tall.
I used to be that high.
No, come on. That's what I always say when someone says, you know, I used to be able to, how many people have thought that since I've been up here? Well, I used to be able to. That drives me nuts. Because who cares? I want to know what you can do right now. Can you do a backflip? Me neither. We might be able to. Have you? When was the last time you tried?
When I was 10.
Okay, me too.
Or
It was like 3 or 4 years ago?
5.
5? Okay. All right. So standing there, do you have good balance? Can you do this? No, okay, you don't have good balance because or else you would have.
Well, I have
You can
to
do
think
it.
about it.
I won't let you fall. And if you do, you're trespassing. No, just kidding.
So,
Try it. See, so your right side is probably more dominant.
Right.
Right? Because if not, you would have tried your left.
exactly.
All right, so that's okay. Who thinks that balance is so important? Right? It's not as important as stability. This is stability. All right? How many Packer fans in here? Just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. Who said, What's the other, what's the next thing? Bears. Bears? The Bears. I saw that before. Okay, are you a Bears fan too? Okay, good. You would never say that in front on a stage, right?
Oh, not especially.
All right, I got you, yes. It'd kill you. Me too, probably. I'm a Dolphins fan. Hey, we got 3 wins. We can end the season right now. It'd be good. All right, so stability is more important than balance because if you're stable like this, that means you can move. You can take a step this way, a step this way. So get like this. A lot easier to do than this, right?
Yeah.
Right. So with this, and if I did that, it wouldn't knock you over, right? You're pretty strong. All right, don't mess with her. So if you're walking in the mall, there's a lot of people that if you're walking around, say you're in a mall, you're in a grocery store, and somebody just brushes into you like that, if you don't have a strong core, you go down. And then how many people in here can actually get up off the floor? How many people can't? If you were to find yourself on the floor with nothing to hold on to, you'd all be able to get up off the ground?
Yes.
I love Wisconsin. That's great. So I'm not going to show you the tricks I was going to show you. This is my first time in Wisconsin. I only have 6 states now that I haven't been to. And they're all confusion. All right, somebody laughed. All right, so in order to increase your balance, you could do some balance exercises, but I'm more into the stability thing. So it's getting in that ready position, and the staggered stance would be closer to balance. And if you wanted to improve your balance, you can do something like this until eventually you're here. Try that, just a little bit at a time. I'll show you something really cool. Same thing goes for a ball. Look at that. Who said you said you had no bad balance. Come on, everybody, she deserves a round of applause. Can you stand on this? Me neither. I can't, but things like that, like what I said, if you start trying to start working on balance by doing it this way versus just standing up and trying to stand on one leg, it's going to work a lot better because you're working your way into it. You can have a seat on here. We're going to do something fun, I promise. We're going to make fun of them. No, I'm just kidding.
Fantastic.
What's the MS color?
Orange.
Yeah, because you got an orange right here, right? All right. So I got an orange balloon for you. Good thing it was the right pocket. The other one was blue. Who said that? Darn Bears fans. I should have brought red, right? Yeah. Wisconsin red. I've been working on that all week. Blowing up the balloon, that is. This used to be orange. What color is it now?
Yellow.
But if I didn't have this, you'd say it was orange, right? No? Does this look yellow?
Yellow.
If I put it next to something yellow, you'd be like, that's totally orange. I was at a yellow conference before, and they said it was orange. Catch that. Look at that. Pretty good, right? That's all core. If you didn't have strong core, you'd be on the ground. And she'd be saying, the Bears. No. Catch that. You're going to have to keep doing that. So that's an exercise. You see, that's working your core without thinking about it. How many people have not got excited at some point in their life for a balloon? There's like two stages of your life. There's a stage of your life where you like balloons, and then there's a stage of your life where you like balloons. So what she's doing is she's making sure that she doesn't fall off that stability ball, right? Just kidding. So we don't know what causes MS, but we do know that while we have it, we can live, because we're all here. And if you're here for motivation, I'm going to tell you that there was once a time where, and this is just my story. My story is my own. I own it. You can't have it. You guys each got your own story, which is unique. I was told I'd never walk again. A year later, I dunked a basketball on a 10-foot rim, and I did walk into the gym before I ran and dunked a basketball. I didn't know I was going to dunk it, but I fired my neurologist, and I went to my neurologist the next day after that. That was the best part about it, was not dunking the basketball. I was like, I got to tell the neurologist that told me I couldn't walk again. You'd be surprised how much you can do with confidence, with believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you know the old, I don't know who said it, but I think it was Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's true. Because if you believe that you can do something, you got about 100% better chance of doing it than if you believe that you can't. Because if I ask somebody, can you do X, Y, or Z, and they say, I really believe I can't do it, I'm going to try to pick a new X, Y, and Z. Because why would I pick something that somebody can't do to try to do because they've already been convinced that they can't do it? So all these disease-modifying therapies, how many are there out there? Wait, today, not yesterday, because every day it seems like there's a new one. Were you going to say 14? All right, you're wrong. A new one just came out. There's 14 now. I don't know how many there are. But the point is, if you take a disease-modifying therapy, I hope you don't expect it to do all the work for you. Because the reason for taking that is so you can live more, so you can enjoy life, so you can do the things that you were able to do without as many exacerbations, because that's what they're supposed to reduce is the exacerbations, right? So with less exacerbations, less disease activity, more function, more time to do stuff, more time to enjoy life, right? So if you take it and you just expect it to do the whole X, Y, and Z, that's like going to school and saying, here, I'm going to sleep with the book on my stomach and learn. Doesn't work that way. We've all tried that if we've been in college, right? Probably didn't even mean to fall asleep with the book on your stomach, but I didn't even tell you to catch that. And you got nerve problems? No, you don't. Nah, you're doing well with it.
I just started water therapy.
Water therapy, that was going to be that's the next thing I was going to say. How do you know? How many people in here do aquatic therapy?
It's amazing.
She's the only one in here. You can teach a class. You see, we're on to something. We can make some money. We'll split it though. If you were to go in the water, I know this is Wisconsin, that's like crazy. That doesn't mean you have to break the ice. You can go inside, indoor aquatics. 80 to 84 degrees for the temperature of the water. If you have MS. If you don't have MS, you know what the temperature should be when you're doing aquatic exercise? 80 to 84 degrees, all right? So if you're exercising in something warmer, you're gonna have problems. Just like if you were to go outside and exercise in the heat. Because the heat's going to cause problems and slow down the transmission of your nerves. And what happens if the signal doesn't get from A to B, then it's not going to work. You know, you tell your foot to lift and it doesn't, maybe it's because of the heat. I can always say it's because of the heat because I'm from South Florida. Here, the cold will do the same thing. How many people in here have problems with the cold? Yeah, I can't help that. I'm sorry. I got a heater. I haven't used it, but I got one. So it's important to do more, and the goals that you set should be a little bit more than whatever you're able to do the day before. Are you guys goal-oriented? How many people in here not just have goals, but reward yourself for achieving your goals? If you don't, you're in trouble, because a goal is just a goal then. But if you come up with something to give yourself or something to reward yourself with because you've achieved a goal, now you got twice as much reason to do it. And you're shooting for it. And it also means that if your goal was weight loss or if your goal was function, that you're going to hit that goal. And because you hit that goal, it doesn't mean you can have a pizza. It's going to be something that you picked out to give yourself as a reward. Because if you're looking for weight loss, and you reward yourself with a pizza after you lost the weight, That's like a drug addict saying, okay, I've gone a year without drugs, I can do them today. No, it doesn't work that way. Or an alcoholic drinking beer. Oh, wow, it's a year. How many people go to an AA meeting and they say, I've gone a year now, it's been my year, all right, everybody have a beer. No, it's not like that. Keep going because you're going to get better and better and better. And the same thing goes for any goals that you have or anything. Never reward yourself with something negative. Now we're going to do the fun stuff. Don't worry about the balloon. You know what that is?
Sliders.
Sliders. Furniture sliders, right? How many people in here have ever used a furniture slider? You got furniture, right? Got to slide it somehow. If I lived closer to here, I'd be like, you guys got to come help me with my furniture. But I don't. All right. You looked at me like, what am I going to do with that? I wasn't going to hit you with it. Just hold it. You know what she's working right now? She's working my right arm. No, what she's doing is she's working her lower back. Can you feel your lower back? And your quads. But that's her core. Because if this wasn't working her core, she'd fall right forward. So if I were to go behind her, which there's no room to do, and pull it from back there, she'd be working her abs. And these things are great because you can close these in a door. With this, I'm going to show you. I don't know if the video is going to be able to capture it, but by giving that heads up, maybe if I go really slow over here, you can go, by the way. Thank you very much. Everyone, she needs a round of applause. I'm going over here. Hi, Carolina. I'm just using this. Don't open the door or I'll fall down.
Oh, okay.
Just let me close it.
Okay.
You surprised I knew your name?
Yeah.
We were talking about you back there. Right? I'm just kidding. She's got a name tag. All right. So you see how this is in the door? You can do anything in the doorway. If she opens the door, it's gonna make a name for me. But so you can row. Same thing as a rowing machine. Presses. You could do bicep curls. You can do skiers, these press downs. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to hold it in the door. You can open the door now if you want. But bands are great because the resistance is not vertical, it's horizontal. If it's vertical, it can land on you, right? We don't work in a vertical environment. We work in all planes. A vertical environment would mean that we do a lot of jumping. How many people have jumped? How many people can remember the last time you jumped? You remember? When was it?
In an elevator.
Where? How long ago? What time?
Probably a month ago.
Okay, so you don't really remember exactly when it was. Jump more if you can. You know why? Because you can. You never know when you need to jump for something, especially if there's like, you know, it's not spring yet, but get in shape for spring because then you can jump and grab the berries off the trees. You guys got berries on trees here? We got coconuts. We got to climb the trees where I live. That's the way it goes. All right. Come on up. Are you okay with being recorded?
I'm okay.
Tell him.
I'll be okay with being recorded.
All right. Put one foot on here. Which is your good foot and which is your bad foot? I'm just going to ask.
I'd say that's probably my strong leg. So
Okay, so put this, get off of that. Other foot on that. There you go. Okay, are you good with balance? We're going to find
okay.
out. So if you can't do this, you can, but you can't. You can do something like this to work on balance. So try sliding it. There you go. Not too hard, right? So he's doing a single-legged squat. I didn't even get into that yet. I was going to tell him to do that next. Pretty good, huh? All right, I'll be right back. Keep going. I'm just kidding. So that's good. So he's doing a single-legged squat. So what I was going to say is you can do stuff like this to work on balance, and eventually it can look like this without the slider. But if balance is what you want to achieve, that's something that can help you achieve it. But if you can't do that, these still have a role. This flight I did not use coming here. It was a short flight because I had to stop in Atlanta, right? We always got to stop in Atlanta. But when I'm traveling for a long distance, you guys ever get tightness in your legs? If you sit long enough and you don't get tightness in your legs, chances are you're not human. We'll talk about that later, whatever language you speak. So what I did was I was flying, had a 3-hour flight, so I took one of these out of my bag, just put it on the ground. The person next to me knew I was crazy, didn't think it. And I was doing this, just bending my knee forward and back. Then I switched the leg, forward and back. Try that. A lot easier if you're sitting, right?
Yeah.
But we're not sitting because we don't have to. Then I'd loosen up my hips, go in circles, because that's hips. Now do the other one. And touch your nose. Got him. Pretty easy. But that's loosening up in a multi-directional way, which is how we exist. Like I said, we don't exist just like that, just in a straight manner. What's the best warm-up you guys do? What do you warm? Do you go to the gym?
Occasionally.
Have you been to the gym?
Yes.
What do you do to warm up?
Get on the floor, do some core stretches, do some planks, do some.
All right, don't try to pretend like you know what you're talking about. I'm just kidding. One thing is, we grew up in a society where people learned the wrong way to teach us, unfortunately. So what he said is the way that we did things growing up. When you go to school, they'd have you, what was the first thing you do in PE? Stretch, right? The first thing you should do is warm up before you stretch, because muscles are like rubber bands. They can only stretch so much. If they're tight, if they're cold, they can only stretch so much. If you stretch them more, they're going to either stay this length or snap. So think about your muscles when you're doing stuff like that and get them warmed up. So loosening up, you have to do something to actually warm up. So what's something you guys do to warm up?
Bike.
A bike. Okay, a bike. What else?
Breathing. I did a gentle exercise class, and we start with breathing.
Yeah, well, if you don't breathe, then you're really in trouble.
Oh, but I need
I know what you're saying. No, so that would be a type of breathing, but warming up your body, warming up, getting your core temperature up, or getting specific areas warmed up. That's what we want to do, because then if you want to stretch, or if you want to do any kind of lifting or any kind of exercise, you're ready for it. You're not going to tear any muscles. The problem is we've all been taught to kind of just run or go on a bike. You want to warm up in the fashion that you're going to actually exercise. So if you did a well-rounded exercise, it's not going to be just moving forward or just biking, unless you're training for Tour de France or a running marathon or something. So what I like to do is, I brought this for TSA because they always check it, because when they put this thing in through the belt and they get the x-ray of it, it looks like it's green. And they say, oh no, we got to check that. I thought they were going to cut it open. I'm like, no, you cut it open, you're buying it. It was $3,000. It really wasn't, but. So I always take it out and leave it for them, because they're like, what is that? I'm like, it's about to glow. And it's just sand in there. But what I do is I warm people up in a multiplanar motion. So hold this. I'm going to do it with this. So this is how I would warm up. The important thing about this is this can be done seated or standing. So I'm going to grab a chair. Now I'm going to sit in it while you stand and do the exercise. No, so warming up, if this was an actual weight, in a seated position, I would do this. Diagonal chops. So standing, that would look like this. Come on. So up to here, pivot your left foot, so your hips and your shoulders are square, and down to here, and up. So you do that a bunch of times. Eventually he'll get winded and be like, but because he's not used to it. And then you switch and go this way. So those are diagonal chops, like you're chopping wood. Then the next one will be up and down. And then the next thing would be side to side with a pivot. So pivot your foot so your shoulders and your hips stay square. And this way. And back. And forth. And here. So that would get you warmed up in the way you would actually move in real life. Because that's what we're training for, is real life. Because if you go to the gym and you excel and you leave the gym and you can't see a change, it's no good unless you're a bodybuilder. Because if you do go to the gym, which you have, you said, the importance is, and you can go sit down. Thank you very much, Kurt. If you go to the gym and you exercise and you get back to like the way you were when you were a child. I took your chair right here. See, now you're warmed up. There.
You can't actually sit down.
Yeah, I was just kidding. Yeah, I want you to stand over there the rest of the time. So if you do the stuff like you did when you were a child and you run around and you kept doing that, this would warm you up to be able to act like you were when you were a kid without the shenanigans. You don't want to get in trouble. But it's important to know these things because, and like I said, you can do it seated, you can do it standing, and you can do it with one arm. The important thing is to get that body in motion, movement. The more you move, the more you can move. Whatever you did today, think about it before you go to bed and challenge yourself to do a little bit more tomorrow. And tomorrow, think about what you did the last day and challenge yourself to do a little bit more. Because that's the only way you're going to get better, is by trying to do a little bit more. And it goes a little bit beyond trying, it's doing. You can try and you can say that you tried at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, if you say you tried, that's enough for you. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to want more and be willing to do more, because what you can do and what you should do mean nothing if you're not willing to do it. And you got to find that deep inside of you. And the person who's with you is going to be like, whoa, they're passing me, they have MS. It drives me nuts to see people that are care partners that are watching their loved ones do so much more than them. Because you know what's going to happen if that's the case? The care partner and the patient are going to flip-flop, and the patient's going to be taking care of the care partner. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And I'm looking around the room, and I know who's who. I know who's guilty, because I see the people next to them saying, they're laughing at him, and they're looking at him and sinking into their chair. That's how I can tell who the patient is and who isn't sometimes. But we're all patients, because at the end of the day, we all have got something wrong. MS is not the worst thing that could happen to you. It's the worst thing that could happen to the person that didn't make it here today. Right? But if you didn't make it here today, or if there's another program, we're doing one tomorrow night, and we're going to be doing one next week on YouTube, all the programs, like Stuart was saying, they're all on MS Views and News Learning channel on YouTube. And you can see all these different physicians from all over the country and their perspectives on things, and different patients that have different issues, because there's no two cases that are alike. There isn't. I mean, if you can find them, let me know. I want to know who they are. I'll find the difference. Everybody's unique in their own way. And one treatment, if you had twins, might work for one twin and the other one might be able to use another treatment. Who knows? You wouldn't know unless you're a twin. But the point is, there's a lot of options out there, but none of them work unless you actually do with what you got. You got to do more and let that medicine work so that you can live a life like you would without MS. For me, MS was like the baton. I had a great past. I've done so much in my life. Oh no, I just felt like I was somebody else saying that. It's just the best. I'm not going to say any names. But a lot of stuff I've done in my past versus what I've done since I was diagnosed with MS, I cannot say it was more prior. I've done a lot more since, and I've achieved more since I had my diagnosis of MS. It wasn't because it was anything other than, I'm just a go-doer, go-getter kind of person, but I kind of felt like I had to do a little bit more, and there were times that I had to take a step back, and you guys probably know that feeling, where you say, wow, I'm an MS patient, I'm doing all this and that and the other to prove something. It's just to prove it to yourself. And it's okay if you prove to yourself that you can, because you really can. I mean, there's a lot people can do, and don't get caught up on what you can't do, because then you won't do it. If you think about what you can't do, then you may as well just sit there and think about it while I'm doing what you can do. You're losing out. The sky's the limit. You get there, you do it, you do the best you can. And if you do the best you can't criticize yourself because you did the best you possibly can. And at the end of the day, you'd be happy about it. So do you guys got any questions?
Yay!
Yay! I knew you had a question.
Anybody have a question for Jeff?
I knew you were going to have a question. In fact, I wrote it down on the table over there.
First, let's thank Jeff.
First of all, do you have primary, progressive, or relapsing?
I have relapsing MS.
Okay. My question around exercise, part of our problems is we get to the point where we're limited on aerobic because you can only do so much, so you start to lose that longevity of any particular exercise. So to try to aid that, what's your opinion on AFOs that would help that? Does that handicap you?
What he's talking about is ankle orthotics that you put in your ankle if someone has drop foot, so that way your foot cannot plantar flex and you can still have your foot up without the initiation of dorsiflexion. If you can do some kind of aerobic activity for a certain amount of time without using the AFO, I would do it and then go to something else and then let your body recuperate or rest. So if you're doing like a lower body exercise, you start to have a drop foot and use the AFO, that's your time to start doing some upper body activity. And then the upper body is eventually going to get tired, and then you go back to the lower body. But you'd be surprised what a couple minutes break could do for your nerve function, because what it is the signal's not getting from A to B. It's that whole thing where it's from somewhere between here and the very end of the kinetic chain, which is your toe, there's some kind of distortion that messes up the signal, and the outcome is different. So while you're resting, that outcome comes back. I've had people that I've had just do something like walk in place, and all of a sudden one side doesn't make it all the way up, and then they're just kind of doing this, and I say, okay, sit down. 2 minutes, let's try it again. Now they're back up to doing this again. So just because it stopped working for a couple of minutes doesn't mean to stop working it in a couple of minutes. So
the brace or whatever you're using, you see that as a crutch and you probably shouldn't do it because...
No, there's a place for it. If you have to go in a long distance and you have one of those and you don't have time to take that rest, of course you want to use it because it's helpful. But if you can do without it, for whatever time you can, you don't want to get the atrophy from putting that on. If you can't and you have to use it, that's what they're there for. They're great. They're important. They have their place. But their place isn't to supplement something that you're able to do. It's only when you're not able to do something. Does that make sense? All right. Next question.
What are you taking?
What am I taking?
Medication.
What do you mean? What's legal in this state? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell you what I'm taking because I don't want to influence somebody else because of what I'm taking. But I have taken more than one thing, and I did find something that works for me. So that's what I would tell everybody in here. Find something that works for you and stick with it as long as you can. And if it doesn't work, there's 13 other things.
I have a personal question.
Don't cross your arms when you ask me a question.
Can I stand up? No. I have a personal question that I hope you'll answer even though it's none of my business.
What's her name?
I'm just holding my elbow. Okay, in terms of your personal journey, 1998.
Yes. What month?
Okay, there is the month that you could not see.
The month I couldn't see. Gotcha, okay.
Okay, you're on the floor, you have all these things that are happening. Everything else being equal between 1998 and right now, if there were no MS drug treatments available, we're living in the dark ages, there's nothing that you could take, but you do everything else that you've done since 1998 to the present. Describe your condition to us as best as you can.
Wait. If it was dark ages, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
But we already talked about candles. We're using candles today. Okay, I do have an answer to that, and I have research to back it up. In 2017, there was research out of the University of Hamburg. Jan I don't remember his middle name, Steelman, came out with a study on aerobic exercise in people with MS. And the study showed that there was neuroregeneration, there was neuroplasticity, and there was a lot of things that were going on with which regenerative functions or things that we knew happened in animals happened with the humans. There was only 57 people in the study. But going back to that and the question that you asked me, I'd be doing the very best I possibly could without meds available. And that is, with that being said, I can't tell you how I'd be without the meds because I've been taking them, but I can tell you that I do everything I possibly can every day. If there's something I can't do, I skip it and go on to something else because I don't want to waste my time. Time's something we can't get back. So I think I'd be doing well, but probably not as well as I am now because I kind of got a little jump start with what I'm taking. But you're going to see in the future that doctors should be, when I was diagnosed, I was told not to exercise. Doctors will be talking about exercise as being more meaningful and more used as a therapeutic agent because it's showing that it's producing stuff in the brain called neurotropic growth factor, brain-derived neurotropic growth factor. And if you look that up, that creates a lot of things which helps with memory, which helps with function. And I think it would be hand in hand, but there being stuff that helps us, I'm not going to give up on my med, and nor am I going to give up on my ability. So hypothetically speaking, here I am. Whether it's A or B, I think I'm combining A, B, and C being diet together to do the best I possibly can for myself.
Do you ever find that you tend to overdo it? Because obviously they say, don't go to the point where you're overexhausted.
Okay, that's one of those things that stops people from doing stuff. I know my limits. I've found my limits. And I know how to skate just on the edge without falling off. But you got to find that. You got to be able to find that. And don't think that you can't do more because it seems like a lot. If you can't do more, your body's going to tell you. You got to listen to your body. Your body is going to express, whether it's drop foot, whether it's cognition, whether it's tingling in your face or your elbow or whatever it is. You can learn by yourself. And not too many people overdo it. People think they're going to overdo it and don't. But not too many people actually overdo it. And if you did overdo it, you'd get temporary symptoms called a pseudo-exacerbation, not an exacerbation. An exacerbation is not going to be caused by overdoing with exercise. You'll just get temporary symptoms. And it's a learning lesson. And I'm not telling you guys to go out and overdo it. What I'm telling you guys to do is find your limits and get close to them, but don't cross the line.
I had kind of a comment on something that you had stated that you were talking about the vitamin D and the levels that you're taking, that is personal to you. So I started taking vitamin D a few years ago, and as I had attended several of these functions, started taking vitamin D, and then I had a health screen at work, and the health screen, just a simple blood test, and it came back and they said, "Oh, your liver is failing." And I was like, what the heck?
Vitamin D level is up?
What the heck? So I went and saw my MS specialist, and we went and ran some blood tests, and they said, "What are you doing differently?" And I said, "Well, I'm taking this vitamin D supplement." They said, "Stop that, and let's see what happens to your liver enzymes." So I stopped the vitamin D. Liver enzymes normalized, and they don't know what the real cause was, but it was basically stop taking vitamin D. So
especially with beer.
So I think I'm the 1 in a million case where my neurologist, he'd never seen anybody that was somehow maybe allergic to vitamin D.
It could have been that. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. The fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. Mm-hmm. They are stored predominantly in your liver, so it can influence liver production and enzyme counts and that type of stuff. But you never should be taking a vitamin without knowing your numbers by your blood. Whether it be B vitamins. And B vitamins, if you take too much B vitamins, what's going to end up happening with B and C, is you're going to end up with really, really expensive urine. you know? So you want to know what you're taking because of a reason. There has to be a number that you're going with and on the same page with your doctor or nutritionist when it comes to taking supplements.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just be aware that that is it's a rarity, but it happened to me, so I guess it could happen to somebody else.
Yeah, it could happen. In fact, when it comes to overdosing on vitamins, there's only been one case of somebody overdosing on a vitamin that's been taken naturally, that with a dietary source. Does anybody know what that source was? Me neither. No, I'm just kidding. It was polar bear liver. Some people that ate polar bear liver in that region, and they overdosed on vitamin K. So with that being said, don't worry about the food part, worry about the supplementation part, get your numbers checked, and work with your doctor to level them off. But the other important thing that I want to say is changing the vitamin D levels is something that we missed the boat on. It's something that we can pass on to the next generation. But like the doctor was saying, I've heard after the age of 15, that's when things really are established. So if you have children and you can monitor their vitamin D levels, don't just give them vitamin D, but have their doctors check their numbers. That might be a preventative action. Same thing with other vitamin levels. You know, if you can't take in the B vitamins well, some of the side effects are very similar to MS side effects. Pernicious anemia, being tired, restless, getting a little bit jittery, things like that seem like similar symptoms to MS. So if your vitamin B levels are too low, that could happen. And if you overdose with them, you're going to have the same symptoms, but it gets out of your system pretty quick. Any other questions?
Let's thank Jeff again.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. So I run around the country. Well, actually, I fly around the country with Jeff. Running would be a little difficult. And I work out with him, or he works out with me, or whatever. And it's not this. This is airport food, all right? But it's the endurance to be able to do things. It's the endurance to be able to do 56 programs a year. It's the endurance to be able to run from week to week to week to week doing these programs. And that I was able to get from starting to work out with Jeff all the time. And I think that a lot of what he says can work for you. You just got to give it the opportunity to make it work for you, all right? And so if you give it some time and you push yourself to do a certain amount, and then you push yourself the next day or the next week to a little bit more, you will be able to do it. You will see a difference, and you will definitely feel better about it. So just give it a try, all right? Thank you again, Jeff. He does a great job.
You're welcome. And you know what? Having a disease where people get offended by telling you look good, hey, I got something to say about that. If you exercise, you might just look better. Don't get offended if people say you look great because you're exercising, because it's the hard work you put in. It's okay to look good.
So I want to thank you all for being here. You know, it's 20 to 9. Could you imagine that? You guys did a great job tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming here. Please remember the seminar evaluation forms. We need you to fill that out. Give it to Jill that's sitting in the back of the room when you're finished. All right? And again, I want to thank you all for coming. And hopefully we can come the next time and we'll see you all here again. And bring others that you know, please. Thank you.